Hello and welcome to our September live hangout with the staff of the Geek Embassy. I'm Regina McMenemy, or Doc Liz. I am here with Isabella and Rhonda today. And what we're doing our back to school, end of summer, beginning of con season special. So how y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
Today. And what we're doing our back to school, end of summer. Where am I hearing that from? Season special. Who's got their speaker on?
I don't know. I think it's me. It's definitely me.
I'm usually the one that does this. This is usually me freaking out. Like all of a sudden I start hearing my voice talk, but it's in my headphones.
No, that happened because remember I told you I had to turn the volume all the way up?
Oh, right.
It was me.
Oh, yay for not being Regina.
I'm just glad my mic's still working and not gone out like every other time we do
Oh,
this.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have had that happen on more than one occasion. Cool. All right, so apparently this is kind of a new system, YouTube Live instead of Google Hangouts on air. So I don't really know because I'm not watching what the changes are in the interface, but I know we have a live chat. And I'm not sure how the viewers access that though. I don't have a link for it in our links provided for the Hangout. I have it on my live dashboard for my YouTube channel, so I can see it there. I have it up, so if you are able to find and access where the live chat is, I can see your comments and I will share them with the group. And here, I'll type a little comment in here now just in case you want to say anything. Hi, everyone. We are listening and chatting. Okay. I put that out in the chat and we'll see what happens with that. And that rhymed and it wasn't on purpose. Okay, so we're going to start with the best and worst of our geeky summer. So what were your favorite geeky activities or readings, books, movies, shows that you streamed? What was your favorite binge from the summer?
Yeah, does everybody got?
Rhonda.
I know. It's so sad. What about reading? What about books? Any books?
I have one.
Yeah.
Why am I raising my hand?
You've been trained well by the educational system.
Yes.
That I have. Okay. So I read the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fantasy series, kind of set in an alternate universe. There's like different versions of the same city in different places, and there's one person who can kind of hop between them. Oh. And anyway, that was my major reading binge. I think I finished both books, and like there's 2 books out so far, and I'm hoping this third one comes out soon. But I finished both books in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So
yeah,
they're quick reads.
Are they?
I really do.
They're what, Isabella?
And that's kind of surprising because I haven't been reading as much as I usually do. So I didn't hear what you said, Rhonda.
I said they're quick reads. I enjoyed the first one.
Oh, yeah, you should read the second one.
Yeah, I downloaded it pretty quickly because I felt what made me happy about that book is that even though it seemed prepared to be a sequel, the first one didn't end like it's a sequel. It ended, and you can just finish that and feel a sense of completion and accomplishment and say, hey, I want to know more about those characters, and pick up the second one without feeling like you've missed the story without reading all 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the first one stood alone pretty well. And the second one did too as well. I don't think it ended on a major cliffhanger or anything, but it was open to, the next book still.
More adventures.
Yep.
What about you, Regina? Books?
Yeah. I still haven't figured out how to work reading into my life as a parent.
Well, you've been busy writing books.
And I have been busy writing. That is where a lot of my energy this summer has gone to working on my book, Mothering the Game, which is available for pre-order for 11 more days on Inkshares.
Please go order.
Please, I'm 34. I need 34 books, 34 more books, people. And then I'll get my publishing contract. So 34 books. But I have been reading another Inkshares book. I'm a beta reader for one of the campaigns that I've been supporting on the website. I had Evan on the live stream here about a month and a half ago. Evan Graham. This is a promotion I got for ordering the yeah, his sister did this. So it's his book.
That's fantastic.
10 Steps as Starry Night. And so I have been reading, I've been beta reading his book. He sent me the whole thing. So I'm only on, I think, chapter 4 right now. But it's really a great story, and it really does kind of incorporate a lot of the kind of science fiction that I really love. So he is also still taking orders. He's got 28 or 27 days left and still needs over 150 books to get. He's trying to get to the full publishing, the 750. So go order me first. If you only can afford one book. Buy mine. He would appreciate that too. And then go buy Evan's. So yeah, that's been my summer's been mostly focused on trying to get some writing done in the evenings, and enjoying that process. Finally figuring out what I wanted to write too. That was big. So what about you, Rhonda? What have you been reading?
I think very, very early on in the summer, I probably mentioned this one, the Everything book, which was sort of a supernatural comedy type book about the Everything box. Did I say Everything book?
You did, yes.
Okay, I need some more coffee. Okay. But the last book I read is Tim Weaver's new book. If you guys remember Tim Weaver, he had another book, number 7 of the Raker series, came out this summer, called Broken Heart. And I just really enjoyed the mystery involved in this one. I really get into mysteries because I want either to be able to solve the problem with the author, or I want to beat the author. I want to figure it out before.
You want to trump them.
Yeah. But I really felt like that I was doing this along with the protagonist, which was really fun, because I felt like I was thinking like Raker. I wrote Tim and I told him, I said, there were moments where I actually just put the book down. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Let me think about this. And I started asking these same questions that Raker was asking and trying to sort through the timelines and who was doing what and why would they do this. And I love the author being able to engage me like that. And there was one thing that happened toward the end. I told him, I said, I can't talk to anybody about it because it could give everything away. But I said, it was so brilliant that I can't believe it. I said, I had to write to you and tell you how brilliant it was. But Weaver's books are right now still only sold in the UK, but I got a hard copy I bought online via Amazon because there are wonderful people in England who will mail them to you.
That's always good.
Yeah. Did you guys play any new games this summer? Video, app, otherwise?
I played a lot of new board games.
Yeah, what'd you play?
I've played Pandemic: The Cure.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a dice version of Pandemic. Uh-oh. Oh, you cut out a little there, Rhonda. What'd you say?
Oh, I just asked what you think in comparison to the regular board game, the original.
I actually like The Cure better than the original. I feel like the chance involved with the dice tends to make me more engaged with the game overall.
Oh, interesting.
I think, and I have learned about myself that in some of the sort of highly cooperative games like Pandemic and what are some of the Elder Sign, I tend to take a back seat because I have a lot of super strategic gamers in my primary game group. And they are really good at like coming up with, oh, we could do this, and we can do this, and then this, and there's a lot of this and this and that conversation. And I listen to it, but I tend to kind of just take a back seat and I let it happen. And with the Cure, I feel like because your move is based on a dice roll. So everybody, each roll, like each character, like the dispatcher and the healer and the medic, all have their own set of dice. And the dice vary depending on that role. So like the dispatcher has helicopters. Nobody else has helicopters. The medic can cure 3 diseases with one die. So they all have different abilities. The dice change depending on who you are. The generalist has, I think it's 7 or 8 die, and everybody else has 6. So I find that level of chance, and it moves faster. So I think those two things together make it a little bit more engaging for me. I tend to just kind of let Pandemic happen and do what I can and make suggestions where I see fit. But I do tend to take more of a backseat, and I'm definitely more engaged in the Cure. So that's been really fun. And neither of you have played
Googling it right now.
Are you Googling it right now? You can also play the Cure with 2 people.
Yeah, Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because I also have the same issue with co-op games where I kind of, let everyone else do their thing, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll do this and this. And
Right. Where you're more directed by the group as to what to do. I don't tend to be as engaged in that. And so I like it better for that reason. And the risk associated with the dice, I think, adds to it as well for me, because there is always that, who knows what's going to happen when you roll the dice, like every turn, everything changes. And our friends who introduced us to it have it as like their go-to restaurant game because it doesn't have a big board. It's really easy to set up. It's really fast to play. And they were used to playing it with 2 people. And now when they played it with 2 people, they won a lot of the time.
Oh, that's interesting. So they've got it on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. I really enjoy it. And if you haven't been to Target lately, Target has a huge selection of like strategic board games now. And I don't know if the Cure is one of them. I know they sell a regular Pandemic. But they're selling Catan and Betrayal at House on the Hill and Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe. And they had a special new game we also picked up, Ticket to Ride First Journey, which is like a kid's version of Ticket to Ride for younger players. And we decided would be really good if you're drunk and you want to play Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride First Journey is the way to go. Because it simplifies the decision-making process, so it's a lot easier to play. And the trains are like this big. Each train is like that big. So they're like huge trains, so they're a lot easier to place. Yeah. Cards are regular card size instead of the little itty-bitty ones. So it's definitely, if you want a strategy game to play when you're drunk, get Ticket to Ride First Journey. I'm sure they're going to love that. That's my assessment of it. We made a kid's game, so what does Regina say? It's perfect for when you're drinking. This is water, by the way.
Yeah. What about you, Isabella? Any games this summer? Anything new? Or new to you?
3-Minute Games came out with a new of their Lifeline games in their Green series. So they have a bunch of different games that are kind of connected by a common big bad, but they're kind of different genres. Like one is a pure sci-fi, one is more of a survival, one is a bit more fantasy bent, and this one is more like a mystery. It's a phone game. So you're basically like chatting with someone and you're trying to help them solve a mystery. And I played that one over a couple games, but it definitely wasn't my favorite out of all of them, I think, because it was more like a procedural and I could never. It's one of those games where like you can play until, like, if you die in the game, you can go back and look at your choices and, you know,
See,
like go back to a different turning point and make different choices and see if you can, you know, get a different outcome.
oh, like in the
And
How to Choose Your Adventure book, when you kept your finger on that like pivotal
Yeah,
page
like,
you had
if I
made the decision
die-
on. Yeah.
like if I die, I'm gonna go back to this and see if I can get something else to happen. And I played through it several times, and I could never actually get a decent ending.
I missed the name of the
Lifeline Crisis Line
Okay.
by 3 Minute Games. And out of that series, I still think I like the original Lifeline one the best. The first one that they came out with.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really had time for a lot of gaming. I have been doing a lot of phone gaming because I have to commute.
It's still gaming. It still counts.
Yep.
I know, because I count it all as my gaming too.
My Steam library is growing still, but I haven't actually played any of it.
Now you're really singing my song, because I have at least 4 games that my friend David bought me that are just sitting there waiting for me to play at some point in time in my life. I don't know when.
Well, when do we get to stop being adults?
Apparently never.
Someone lied to me. Well, I've had a phone app game going. I love having at least one game on all my devices. And I downloaded Dots, if anybody ever played that.
Oh, yeah. I talked about that once. Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the let's see what the first one was. It called Dots or just Dot? Dots, yes. Dots. The first one was Dots, and then I downloaded two dots.
Yeah.
And then there is Dot and Company. Dots and Company.
I didn't know about that one.
It was a lot more fun. I played through it. I've been playing through it really, really fast, which is what I like. I like being able to sit down and slam through a level and get my confidence boost and say, ooh, hey, 3 stars, I'm a badass. But I always hit a level at the game where it's absolutely impossible to win unless you buy a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I've enjoyed the game enough that I did a couple of in-game purchases. It's like, hey, I downloaded it for free. I'm having fun. I want to keep playing it. What's it worth to me?
Right.
So I spent about $10. It's gone. I'm still not past this level.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That sucks.
And so I'm done. I mean, I'll probably sit down and pick the phone up when I'm bored, because I'm not a patient person. And I'll play it, but I can already tell it's absolutely impossible to win unless you have all of the special abilities and all of this stuff, and it's just going to cost a fortune to get past this one level. It's not worth it to me.
Yeah, I hit the same thing with 2 dots when I was playing 2 dots.
Yeah. It happened faster with it. Much
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
But the game I am getting loads and loads of playtime on is Don't Starve Together.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I remember playing the
Don't Starve.
Don't Starve Together is the multiplayer version, right?
Yeah. Some friends of ours started playing it, and they asked us to join them. They had a Friday night game going. It was like, I played the original one. I wasn't that thrilled, but I was like, but a co-op game, now that changes everything. And it has. I'm sort of obsessed. And so we have a group that plays on Thursday night. We have a group that plays on Friday night. And then I go back and play by myself. Usually one day a week.
Nice.
My viewpoint attitude about the whole game, it's just it's a blast, and it's a real fun game cooperatively. It's just it's so different. It's never the same. And I'm having a good time. It's been a long time.
Oh,
The
that's
video
awesome.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, what about movies? What's the conclusion of the summer movie?
Well, we had
talk about it.
We had our series, so people who are watching the show can go listen to our summer podcast movie series that Rhonda and I did. What was your favorite from the series that we watched, Rhonda?
It's really hard because most of them were so disappointing.
It was kind of sad summer, actually.
Well, and I just went back this weekend and watched The Jungle Book, which I missed. One we had thought about trying to see. And I caught the Angry Birds movie. Did not change a thing. Did not have a good time. Mm-hmm. Very forgettable, very boring. I would have to say, to be honest, I know people are not going to believe me, and I don't care, is between Ghostbusters and Suicide Squad.
I love Ghostbusters. I put it as my favorite movie for the summer.
I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm a rational human being. You can say it has something to do. Sorry, you're getting a cleavage shot, people. I wiggle. It could be the caffeine. Everything's still together.
Nothing fell out, don't worry.
Nothing fell out, yeah, because there's usually something stored down in there. That comes in really handy at the cons. I've got to tell you, people, a chapstick goes right there. Never lose it.
I have to remember that.
Oh, yeah, it's great. So I think Ghostbusters, we talked about it. I think it has the parts that are good are really good. It's just unfortunate that the parts that are bad are really bad.
Yeah, it was definitely unbalanced. And yeah. I think the way that I've described it to people when I've had people ask me about seeing it and what I thought, I've said, I love the characters. Like, I love the characters. And they did a great job building character stories in it for the women. I mean, not as much for Chris Hemsworth's character, but for Melissa McCarthy and I can't think of
Kate McKinnon,
but I was trying to remember.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig is who I was thinking of. Their characters were great. They didn't. They edited it, I think, in a way. Patty Jones, yeah. Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones, thank you.
Plays Patty. Patty compels you.
I love her.
I do too. And I think their characters were great. I think the way they edited the movie, I think they cut enough from it that it made this story inconsistent and not, linked together the way we needed it to. Like I said in our show when we're talking about it at the end, all the law enforcement are standing like in a dance pose, like just with no context whatsoever for why they're standing in a dance pose. And I was just like, come on, guys. I mean, you got to give a little bit there. And you, Rhonda, and Julie both said things where there were just some moments where there was a really flat dialogue where they had a really powerful, a really powerful moment, and then the dialogue just hit the floor. Like when they all got in the car to like take off to go rescue Chris Hemsworth's character, and they're like, "Let's go." It's like,
yeah.
Okay, and you could have
They just really dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm. So
they should have let the women improvise. I think they could have cleaned it up.
I think they could have too. I agree, but I think it's interesting that it usually takes such great writing to get well-developed characters. So it's interesting that the characters managed to still be well-developed, but the story suffered so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it was exciting at Dragon Con. There were several Holtzman. I saw one Melissa McCarthy character was done really well. I saw a Kevin, he was very popular.
I bet.
And then someone who looked exactly like the Sigourney Weaver character. So she was running around calling the Holtzmans all her minions. It's very, very cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Isabella? What did you think of the summer movies?
Well, the only movie I watched this summer was Ghostbusters because.
So what did you think?
And I loved it, but yeah, there were definitely moments where I couldn't understand what was happening, like that weird dance sequence in particular, which didn't make sense until I sat through the credits. And I'm like, oh, that's what was happening.
Yeah. Stupid.
But no, I love all of them, and Kate McKinnon clearly stole the internet's heart because everyone is in love with her, and so am I. And
with good reason.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She is.
Well, what about streaming stuff? Because I'm getting excited talking about the con things and
oh yeah,
cosplaying. I can't wait to hear about y'all's experience. Any particular streaming?
Well, I've got a new addiction that started.
Whose fault is that?
Netflix placement.
Oh, really?
They put a show up and I saw it and I'm like, oh, I should check this out. And I thought it was a Netflix show. And so I was like, oh, it's going to be like one season because it's new. And it turned out not to be a Netflix show. And it turns out that there are 6 seasons on Netflix of it.
Well, that's good if you're enjoying it.
Wait, okay. No.
What is it?
Isabella just figured out what it is.
Wasn't making sense.
It wasn't making any sense. It's called Shameless.
Oh, God.
Shameless.
Why are you laughing, Isabella?
Because I saw her start to watch it on Twitter, and then she's like, "Oh, it has to get better," and I watched like 5 or 6 seasons of the show, and I'm like, it does not get any better.
You mean the people will get better, or the TV show gets better?
The people, the decisions.
The people in the show do not get their lives together at all.
Yeah,
the complete opposite, really.
My first tweet about it, the one that Isabella saw, was something along the lines of, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hang with watching Shameless because I think I had enough of the repetitive bad decision making watching Weeds. I
get tired of it.
And so, but I'm finding, I don't know what it is. I haven't quite put my finger on what it is that's keeping me watching it. I'm in the
interesting.
I'm in the 3rd season right now of it. And, part of it's I've been sick this week, so I've been watching more than I would normally watch. So I've watched quite a few episodes in the last couple of days. And I just feel like I can't tell if I'm attached to the characters or if I really just can't stop watching the train wreck. Because it's such a train wreck. I mean, it's exhausting. It's such a train wreck. So
maybe that's what it was for me too with the United States of Terra.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, the only reason that got me through the 3rd season is because they felt like that they were, they changed things up and introduced a very terrifying character. But at that point, I was just like, why? How is it that these people are just going to continue making these horrible decisions and have no real good repercussions from what they're doing? It was exhausting. Thank God it was only 3 seasons.
Yeah, so and there's another season. I mean, there's a new season. Season 7 is coming out this fall. And so I was like, wow, I didn't think that this trope would carry for that long. But I mean, there's so many characters and there's so many different kind of train wreck story arcs. And I don't know. I can't, like I said, I'm going to have to do some writing about it and thinking about it because I really can't figure out what it is about these characters that keeps me watching this show. I know one of the things I have realized that I haven't quite put down into words yet, but it's interesting for me I relate most to a male character in this story. And that's, normally I would relate to Fiona, I would think, because she's like the lead character. And I kind of have some taking care of my family stuff that happens in my life where I end up taking care of my family. But I'm not relating as much to her, partially because of her decisions or decisions I never would have made. But I feel like I relate more to Lip, the oldest male.
I was gonna guess that.
Yeah, were you?
I was gonna guess that.
Were you? What about Lip made you think that, though? Now I'm curious.
Let's just say I know enough about your family life to know exactly what you're going.
Yeah. Well, it's I think as I was watching it last night, I was thinking that I relate to him the most because I think if I had been born male in my family, I would have been a lot like Lip. Because I had the different kind of intelligence that didn't really sit in my family and wasn't really natural for the environment. And so he kind of stands out to me as that character. And I think I'm most interested to see what he ends up doing because of that kind of odd connection I'm having to him. So I don't know.
So what kind of drunk is he?
I think he's more a somber drunk. I mean, he's not the fighting drunk. I'm trying to think if he's started fights. I don't know. Isabella knows more of the series than I do at this point, but.
I think so, definitely. But
yeah.
not just for starting fights reasons.
No, like I don't
that
think
way. He's definitely the protective, like, you mess with my family, I'll mess you up kind of person.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. I know, see. So that's my sorry train wreck.
What about you, Isabella? Did you stream anything?
I gave Stranger Things a try, and I could not.
You're kidding.
Get into it. I don't know why. I can't really put it into words. I watched like 2 episodes. I don't know if I just need to like, if I'm just not in the right mindset for something so, I don't know, creepy. And the whole thing with like the missing kid and everything was just like, okay, I can't handle this right now. And I had to step back. But maybe I don't have that nostalgia for it, or I don't know.
It's interesting.
I just don't find kid protagonists that interesting. I don't know what it was, but nothing grabbed me. And horror is not typically something that I'm into.
Yeah, it was definitely pushing my buttons on the discomfort level with the gross and the horror aspects and even the suspense of it. I can usually go with suspense as long as there's not a lot of gore to it. But it definitely pushed my boundaries on that one.
So anything else?
My boundaries are very...
So you gave Stranger Things a try.
I gave Stranger Things a try. I watched Gallivant.
I love Gallivant.
I never give it a try because I'm not usually one for musicals in any way. But after watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I'm like, okay, maybe if it's funny enough, I can give it a try. And now I'm just sad I didn't give it a try earlier because it's over.
It's canceled.
Got canceled. But I really liked it. Yeah, it's exactly like in my right humor spot.
Yeah.
Like silly and ridiculous. And
I
have a dragon.
Yeah, I think it's just sweet and funny in all the right ways.
It's interesting. I'm going to have to explore the power of nostalgia for Stranger Things because I think pretty much everybody who's been singing its praises to me falls into that category of it's touching on their childhood. Yeah,
and I couldn't connect to it in that way in like any level.
Yeah. Well, what about
even people who have people who've even recommended it to me have been a little bit older than me. So I think it hits them that way too.
Right. But, anybody who might be into retro gaming or retro videos or things like that, old movies, that era of movies, even if you're not from that generation, because there are so many. I actually watched a video that showed the screen homages, like how they constructed the scenes in it and how they reflected so many of the 80s and early 90s, or maybe it was 70s and 80s, I can't remember. 70s and 80s movies. Like just screen for screen, like the sequencing of shots, to exact, for E.T. and Alien and like a whole bunch of other ones that I was just like, wow, I hadn't some of it I caught, some of it I could see, but other of it I hadn't watched the source materials, recently enough. For me, part of what caught me and kept me interested in it beyond the gore and the horror and all that stuff was the music. I thought the soundtrack was unlike anything I had heard.
It's a full package.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a full package. Amy's asking in the chat room about what Stranger Things is.
Where
I
did you
started
see
watching
this?
it. Huh?
Where did you see that?
YouTube?
Oh, it was on the YouTube screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been
Sorry.
chatting away over there. Yeah, you guys haven't noticed me ignoring you? Stranger Things is a Netflix show. Regina mentioned it on the last podcast episode she and I did on the summer series. And so I went and watched it and was very, very glad I did. It was extremely addictive, great storytelling, great character building. It is definitely, I would say it hits supernatural, it hits sci-fi, and it hits horror. I think it hits all of those categories. It is very nostalgic. It's set in the 80s, and they make absolutely no bones about that. And it is about, you can say two things. It's about a small town where a boy disappears, and a boy disappears and a girl appears. And from there, things get weird. They have a really great cast. Oh my God, you'll never believe this, Regina. We found out that Jim auditioned for it.
Oh, really? Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, he auditioned for it. We're really just imagine if we'd been sitting there watching it and we'd seen him and we'd have flipped out.
Oh my God, that would have been so awesome.
So it's about how all the townspeople who are either trying to hide what has happened versus the townspeople who are trying to find the boy and figure out what happened. And the main crew driving it are three young boys, which is very Spielberg-like. If you watched any of his, E.T. or what is it, 8mm or driven by the kids who have seen something, and you wouldn't normally believe children with fantastic imaginations, but they pursue it. They're smart and they're crafty and industrious, but at the same time, they respect authority where they can. They're not delinquents in any way, and everything in it just seemed to be logical, and it was beautiful character development, and there's so much depth there that you want to know more about. And they didn't blatantly explain, which was nice.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about it too, was the craft of the storytelling. It wasn't too over the top. It wasn't too directed. It did have the huge nostalgia feel to it, which obviously doesn't work for everybody. And that's totally okay. But it definitely hit, I think, for a certain generation, kind of hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. The only other thing that I streamed, we streamed Preacher, which was a big release for the summer. And the first season was really, really good. I read the first volume of the graphic novel, and they went along together. It's just very unique, very different. It's horror. It's adult. It's got humor to it as well. It's a comedy horror, but it's very adult. And I picked up the second volume and was not nearly as pleased. And I'm not sure whether they'll be able to pull the second season of Preacher off or not. But anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Preacher was, it's a sci-fi thing that involves angels and vampires and fallen angels and all kinds of weird stuff. So are we going to talk about cons?
I might be burned out.
What?
I might be burned out on those kind of stories after sticking with Supernatural for 10 seasons.
I know. I read an article recently in Entertainment Weekly, and they interviewed the guy
No, we lost you there for a minute, Rhonda. They interviewed the guy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the guys, Jared and
Jensen.
yeah, they were talking to him. It's like they're renewed for another season, and they're like, "We're having a good time. Whenever we stop having a good time, we'll stop doing the show." But
That makes sense.
It may go on forever then.
yeah, because they're having a great time.
I don't know. Big Bang Theory hits 10 seasons this fall.
No way.
Yes. This fall is season 10 of The Big Bang Theory.
That's hard to believe.
I know.
But considering that
Wow.
half of them are married and 25% of them are pregnant, I mean,
Yeah, the story has come a long way from the first episode where they're walking into the sperm bank for high IQ sperm donations.
oh my. At what point do they need to just call it quits?
When people stop watching and they stop making, what did they make? $140,000, $150,000 an episode?
Oh well.
I can't even.
I know. I can't even,
I can't even.
fathom what that would be like.
It's ridiculous.
All right. So shall we move on to our con discussion?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So where was it you guys were at recently?
Go ahead, Isabella.
Rose City Comic Con.
Rose City Comic Con.
Yes, our local Portland comics convention.
Which we've somehow, neither of us have ever been to.
Yeah. Well, it's only, in our defense, it is only
It's
5
only
years.
about 5 years.
Yeah, it's only 5 years old, so it's new. And it's also independent. It's not run by any of the convention companies, so it's all a local group putting it together.
That's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've heard rumblings that might not stay that way for much longer.
That
Of
would be
course.
my fear. That's always my fear, is that they're gonna, take what was a good thing. That's kind of what happened with Emerald City, or kind of what's happened with Emerald City. So
Mhm.
I hope they put it off if they can. But yeah, it was nice. It's a smaller con, smaller, 40,000 people, smaller.
It definitely felt smaller than, say,
40,000.
City.
Yes, 40,000.
Okay.
That's not small.
No. No.
Do you know how many people went to Dragon Con? How big is that? Isn't that giant?
Yeah, I mean, they were saying this year it was going to be like 70,000.
That's Emerald City. Emerald
Yeah.
City's 70. PAX is up to 80, I think.
My God.
So 40 does feel significantly smaller, especially Sunday. God, we walked in Sunday morning.
It's such a difference.
It's such a ghost town. Just nobody. It was like not crowded, easy to get around. We could see all the booths. We didn't bump into anybody looking at all the booths. That's when we went down Artist
Oh,
Alley.
I feel like we talked to so many more people on Sunday.
That what?
At least I talked to a lot more people.
Oh,
on
I
Sunday
talked to a
'cause
lot
I
more
could
people on
actually
Sunday too. Yeah, it was a lot easier to get access to
get
people
around.
to talk to.
Well, for people who've never been to a comic book convention, and in a local one especially, why don't you guys give your first impressions of what you saw and the types of things you expect?
I think I have pretty high expectations because I have been to a lot of really big cons. So I have a lot of expectation for good organization and good offerings. And I wasn't disappointed by Rose City. It was the convention floor, the show floor was a little smaller than I expected it to be. But I feel like there was still great representation of some awesome independent artists. They had a decent section set up for gaming. They had some fun exhibits with pinball machines that you could play from a local bar called Ground Control, which is the local arcade bar. And so they brought that out. So that was awesome. I have one, I don't know if you wanted to go into complaints just yet. I guess one of the things that I look for is to make sure there's a balance between exhibitors and artist alley. And I felt like the artist alley was pretty decent for the size of the floor. At Rose City Comic Con, it really focused on independent artists and on comic book artists. In a way that I unfortunately feel is kind of getting lost in Emerald City. I think Emerald City is getting kind of caught up in that celebrity thing. So I don't know. What did you think, Isabella?
It was definitely a different feel than Emerald City for sure, because it wasn't so, it was basically just the main show floor with Artist Alley and the exhibitors and the gaming all together in one big space. And, people would wander outside the doors for like cosplay and stuff or to get food or whatever. But I like having it in one, although it does make it a little bit harder to navigate.
And easy to get lost in. Oh my,
a couple times
so
if
lost.
It's all together. But I do like knowing that, like, I can actually, if I go around, I can pretty much hit everything, and I'm not like, I don't have to go up to the 6th floor
or to a different building or over the skywalk to the other, because the convention center in Seattle, I'm way more familiar with. I kept getting lost. The convention center in Portland is a circle. The building is.
I walked that circle many times,
and that was really disorienting. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So the convention floor is kind of the center, and then there's hallways all the way on the outside, and that's where you had like smaller convention rooms where they had like ticketing and stuff, and then the other side, the complete other side of the convention center is where they had the panels. Which is my only true like organizational complaint for them, is that they had it organized in a way where in your program they just list panel rooms. So it was panel room 6, right? Well, you had to look and finally divine that the panel rooms were, so here's the center of the show floor. Those are the exhibitors. This is Artist Alley. You had to figure out that the panel rooms were like literally on the other side of where you were like entering into, this was the entrance into the main entrance. We're all the way on the other side or where the panel rooms were. But that's not even my complaint, although it was poorly sort of labeled. My complaint is that in the program itself, under the panel descriptions, it would just say panel room 3 or panel room, actually it didn't even say panel room, it just said room 4, right? Well, room 4 and room 5 and room 6 were all the ways they organized larger rooms. So here's the panels, the way the panels are laid out. So these are larger rooms that they made this into like the ballroom, and then they broke out these smaller rooms over here. So the actual organization of the convention center, panel room 6 is rooms D133 and 134. But you didn't know that until you looked here. And that pissed me off because we were wandering around like, where are the panels? I don't understand. And there's like 4 different sections of rooms you can go to. And it's just not clear. There was no signage that said panels are this way or anything like that. Like that
even if they had
failure.
Just like, because there's signage all over the place,
right?
But none of them actually tells you what you need to know. So like if they put something up saying, hey, at the entrance, panel rooms 1 through 4, whatever, are this way, and the big ones are this way, because we ended up upstairs at one point. That's not where we were going. Walking around the convention center several times, no idea where we were going until we finally just like wandered into some place. I'm like, oh, here they are.
Yeah, and they had little tiny, signs on an easel that said, oh, panel rooms 1 through what here? And I was like...
Which you couldn't even see unless you looked that specific way.
They weren't even...
Or you saw someone standing there that was checking badges.
They weren't even where the people were checking the badges to kind of make it look like that was they were like in front of the doors for the rooms. And so in terms of organization, that was a big failure on my part. I'm used to, being able to say, it's... they have different names for things at PAX, like I presented in the unicorn room, but it was very clear that the unicorn room was ballrooms 1 and 2 at this hotel. Yeah. Like you just knew from it, and the connection like that you had to like make sure to look at the map to see where the rooms were for the convention center as opposed to no. It didn't work. So that was my big complaint for them in terms of organization, was that it wasn't clear enough where things were happening.
Was there anything else? Because you and Isabella both have obviously been to cons before. Were there any other major complaints about your con experience, maybe in compared to others?
There really wasn't a lot of food choices. That was disappointing.
Deal.
Yeah, and
I think Regina checked out on the first day, right?
Yeah, they had all over their social media that they had food trucks across the street, for, people to go eat at. And Dante, who was with us, had eaten out there, and he told me, he's like, oh, go out. There's all this great stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I walked out in my Holtzman robe and thing, full costume, into 90-degree heat to walk across the street to get something really good to eat, to find that all but one of the food trucks was out of food.
Oh, no.
And it was not 1 o'clock. And it wasn't even 1 at that point. And they were all out of food. And I was like, I couldn't understand.
Goodness.
I could see them. Like, I thought I was in the wrong place because I could see all the trucks, but nobody was in line for any of them. Except there was like one Mexican food one, I think, that was left still serving at that point. And I was like, what is going on? And then somebody said to a friend who was there, oh, all the trucks are out of food. And I was like,
yeah, and you really don't want to eat Mexican food at a con.
no, I wanted and I wanted nothing to do with the length of the line. Like, I got in it and I looked at it and I'm like, I want to eat. Like, I thought I was going to come out here and I was going to have a few options for what I was going to be able to get. And I didn't. And so that was that was definitely not great. And the food in the convention center was, Rhonda, it was worse than Boston.
That's really bad.
That's really bad, because Boston was really bad. I mean, and Boston was huge, and it was a PAX, and it was giant, and it was really bad. And this was there were fewer choices, fewer locations to go, and longer lines for less food. So, yeah, I was pretty concerned about that.
For independent cons, that turns out to be, I think, one of the first signs of growing pains is the location. Because we went to a smaller con last year, run locally, and they set it up in a place where there were the only way to get coffee and breakfast was at the hotel, and that's it. To go venturing out to try to find coffee or anything like that took a while, and you really want your location to be more in a business type area where there are either downtown businesses, but this was industrial and distribution centers and warehouses, and they don't have places within walking distance.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think I don't even know. Like, I didn't look around for what was available when we were gaming on Sunday with some people who are from a local game store who did this awesome. If you haven't seen it, people, on our Facebook page, we have a 360 video of me and Isabella playing Ticket to Ride with a couple of other people who were from, can't remember what the name of the group was, but a local game group. And so they were talking about how they had walked down the day before on Saturday to Burgerville, which is a local fast food chain. And they had walked down there, but they had to wait in a line like half an hour to finally get in the door. So I guess there were options not too far away. But the thing for me that killed it was that I walked out there. I had been perfectly comfortable in my cosplay before that, but I walked outside in it and overheated, and then I was hot for the rest of the day and just hugely uncomfortable for the rest of the time I was there.
Yeah. We want to move on to just talking about modern day cons anyway, and what in general we expect from them, and mostly how they've changed. Even maybe in just the past 5 years, because I haven't been going to cons for much longer than that, about 5 or 6 years. And I've gone to I've been to Dragon Con. That was the first con I ever went to, and been going to it for about 5 years now. And it has changed dramatically. This year's experience was very, very different than, especially it's easy to contrast to the first year. It's huge. It's in 5 hotels, and the panels are divided up in all the ballrooms, all of the meeting rooms in all 5 of these hotels. And it has gotten so big that they also use the meeting rooms and ballrooms in the America Marts now. So they have the Hilton, the Hyatt, the Marriott, the Westin, and the Sheraton, and 2 buildings of the America Marts. Enormous.
Yeah.
It is very much, has always been a fan con. That's the way it was started, by some local people who just were fans and they wanted to meet with other fans. And it has always been that way. They have a walk of fame. They have celebrities that come, but celebrities or big companies or industries, pop culture industries, do not run this con. It's run by the fans. All the panels tend to be that way. They have the great big giant ballrooms, and they'll have panels for, like, when Twilight was huge, and The Walking Dead, and actors and creators and writers from those panels will be there and talk. And that's always a big draw. They love that. And that's very thrilling, because especially the Walk of Fame is basically just a bunch of 10-foot tables lined up together, and these people that you love and adore just sitting back there behind them, and you can walk through the room and you're within 20 feet of them. And
you're in their presence.
Yeah, that's basically it. And some of them, the newer ones, they, like at some conventions, they charge for autographs and photographs. Some don't, especially some of your older actors, and that's always fun too. But it's always been a very huge cosplay con, because it's all about fandom, and the panels have always been about just people sitting around talking about the stuff that they love. They've even got the whole tracks separated. There's a British track, and there's an anime track, and this whole section. The first day I was there, all the Ghostbusters were going to be meeting to have a party at one floor of the con. So, but the changes that I saw this year is that Dragon Con has always been famous in downtown Atlanta for having a huge parade, and all of Atlanta comes down for it, which is really, really cool. If you happen to live locally in Atlanta, it's a decent parade to make the effort to come down and see. Very elaborate costumes, and from all of this pop culture stuff. But over the years, people have begun to figure out that all they have to do is buy a day pass, and they can go into the hotels and see more costumes and see more of the. Well, I described it to a friend recently. To me, it felt like I was in a geek zoo.
Where everybody was like coming to look at you rather than engage with you. Oh, that's bad.
Yes. And that's pretty much what it's. And Dragon Con is, even though there are kids that come, and that's fine, parents make the choice to do that, it's not a family oriented con. There are very few restrictions on costuming. There is a minimum amount of tape that you can have, and G-string, and you've got a costume. So that's it's an adult oriented con. So on Saturdays, it has become apparently this family outing for the Geek Zoo, where they're bringing strollers and all these kids in 50,000 people in a packed hotel to walk around and take pictures and look at the costumes. Well, that's just not the way the con operates. They are stopping in traffic. It's very dangerous. The groups too, because colleges have started. Groups of college kids will come down, and I mean, we were walking up the street one day, some people in a restaurant on the outside. They just started standing up, screaming horrible things at some of these con people walking around up and down the street. But they come to gawk. They come to gawk, make fun, or it's no longer a fan thing. We're kind of now a spectacle, which is what we used to be.
Right. Well, that's what the con space was supposed to be, the ownership of from the community. Yeah, it's supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be a place where people appreciate your interests. It's not supposed to be where you come to be on parade. And I mean, you know, I have mixed feelings too about like the family aspects, but I think that it can be handled well. I think it's handled really well at Rose City. Actually, they have a whole separate like curtained off section for kids where they had like Jedi training and, you know, a bunch of activities and things for the kids to do. They do the same thing. They have a room set up for kids at Emerald City. So you can take them and they can be on the floor, but you also have a place for them to go and do stuff. Cause you know, with a toddler, I was like, somebody asked me, or I told my students I had gone and they're like, oh, did, you know, your husband and your daughter go? And I was like, no, my husband stayed home with my daughter because she's just at that age where like, she just want to be in everything. Like, I couldn't walk her through, you know, Artist Alley without her wanting to grab everything off every table. Yeah. And I don't think it's appropriate at that. And I saw people with, you know, some sleeping kids and some smaller kids. But at the same time, it's like, you can't put them down. And this was a much smaller convention. It's not talking about the size of Dragon Con. I wouldn't want her on the floor. I wouldn't want to be wielding, God, I hated wielding my backpack, especially after I bought a couple of things and my backpack started to like bulge out. And we were in a couple of jewelry ones on Saturday, jewelry booths that were pretty small. And I'm like trying to like, you know, turn around like this so that I'm not like wiping a whole, you know, display out with my backpack. And I know what it's like to, you know, cart a stroller around. To manage that in that space would have been untenable.
And some of the parents, I mean, there are some families that make this an annual event, but they know what the parameters are. The con has phases. There are certain buildings that are party buildings that at a certain hour after dinner, it's nothing but a party. And so first thing in the mornings are a great time to have the kids there. And the people who are involved in that, typically the kids are in costume. And they're not in strollers. They're able to walk. And I saw one family. They were all in costume. She was dressed as Wonder Woman, and her son was dressed as Aquaman. He was fantastic. But they understood the context of what they were doing. They knew how the con worked, and they were there to enjoy.
I think the difference in what you're talking about here is the difference between people who know the culture and appreciate the culture and those who are absorbing it. You know, like the whole idea of of a zoo is to go look and, like you said, gawk at people. And you don't necessarily understand the culture of what you're looking at when you do that. So they wouldn't understand you don't stop in the middle of, you know, this walkway to take a picture. You wait until you get to a place where you can take a picture. Like,
exactly.
You know, all that is part of the culture. And I'm not saying, and I don't want this to go out, and I don't want people to think I don't think that kids should go to cons, because I have every intention. And when my daughter gets a little older, she's going to be at every con I go to. But I think that you do have to respect the culture of what's there, like you said, you know, the unspoken culture. This is, you know, a party building, and this is where the parties happen. I don't know. I usually don't stick around cons after dinner time, especially local ones like this where we were driving home. It's like, no, it's 5 o'clock. I'm ready to go home now. You know, if we have, like we had at both when Isabella and I were at Emerald City and when you and I were at PAX East, when you have a room that you can go back to and you can rest and then you can go out again, that's awesome. But I need that.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. You know, this tax is my space issue.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I mean, I'm here coughing and like trying not to blow my nose on screen because I've got the con cred, and part of that was just from the exhaustion and and all the all the putting myself out there that goes on in con world. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
and I didn't bring my hand sanitizer. Always bring your hand sanitizer.
Yeah, hand wipes or hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Nothing is convenient at con. But I mean, in general, I mean, Isabella, what do you feel about, I don't know how long ago it was that you went to your first con?
Actually, my first con was when we all went to Geek Girl Con.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
2
she
years
talked about that
ago.
then. Yeah.
That was actually my first con. I've never really been because most of my friends are not that geeky, and the whole aspect of having to travel to most of them, because I don't think Portland, besides for Rose City Comic Con, I don't think Portland has a ton of local cons, except I think Wizard World or
and Wizard World is, you want to talk about the I almost said Walmart, but that kind of is what it is. It's the Walmart of cons because they put the same show on in every city. So yeah.
So I don't know. I think so far my favorite experience still is Geek Girl Con when we went that one time. Because going to a local con is a bit weird when you do have to travel back and forth. I do like having the convenience of a hotel room that you can just go and crash in, and you don't really have to deal with the rest of your life while you're there. And so, yeah, I think it was my favorite because Emerald City was still already a bit too commercial, but Geek Girl Con is just like that right spot where it was well organized, and
the cons that
you're still surrounded by a lot of people that like what you like.
And I think that part of that may be the difference, because Geek Girl Con has a very specific focus. The local cons, like upcoming, we've got North Carolina Comic Con coming up, and the con that you guys were just at, Rose City. They're not just local, but they're also they have a very specific topic, whereas Dragon Con is everything. It's just a general giant open experience. And I think that it's in a big city, which I think is the same thing that's happened to San Diego. And geekdom has become trendy. And it's a marketing thing. I mean, the majority of the stuff that we do is popular now, and we're trendy, and it's a great place for them to make money. And I don't mind that day passers. There are no rules to set up and say, are you just a day passer here to look at the Geek Zoo and not sell them tickets?
Right.
It's just a sign that the con has. The con is willing to. I mean, they have no limits on tickets. I mean,
so
if they end up
end of like they run out or sell out or anything.
No.
Oh, because both Emerald City and PAC sell out. I don't think Rose City sold out. I think they had passes still available at the end.
Yeah, I don't think that they will just keep selling tickets, and I think that's part of the problem, is that there's no limit. Because I think a lot of these people, the day passes, they just go down there right before the parade or right after and buy a day pass. Right. And if there was a limit on the tickets, they would be sold out 6 months, 8 months in advance. There's no way that there would be day passers.
Right.
A bunch of college kids get together and say, hey, let's go downtown and hang out and watch all of the hot babes dressed as Catwoman and Harley.
Well, and let me ask you this, because this was different for Rose City. Pretty much for Emerald City, you can get into the convention center, and there's like shops and restaurants and stuff you can access, but pretty much you can't get anywhere near the show floor at Emerald City or PAX without a badge. Now that wasn't the case at Rose City. Rose City, you could get right up to the door. You could get right up to where the panel rooms were. You could, you could access huge areas of the convention center without a badge. And so if you did want to go and you just wanted to look at people in their costumes, you didn't have to pay anything. You could just show up and walk up, and you'd still be able to see, especially where all the areas where they had, the background set up for pictures and stuff. All of that was publicly accessible. It was really strange for me. I'm like,
That's weird.
It was really strange because I'm used to, like, you have to get anywhere near the door of the Seattle Center. You have to have your badge to get in there. Like, you could go and buy merch from Rose City and not have had a badge to be able to do it.
No, they have dozens and dozens of gatekeepers at every hotel. You cannot get into a hotel without a badge.
Interesting. Yeah, this was completely different. And I think with I'm trying to remember if there were people because when I presented at PAX West or PAX Prime in Seattle, I don't even think there was anybody checking badges in the hotel I was in. Like, I think there were people at the doors because there was like a, somebody who worked for, one of the volunteers at the doors to get into the room. But like, to get into the hotel, you could still get into the hotel without having had a badge too.
Well, I mean, Dragon Con's really, I don't know whether they're unique. San Diego's probably like this too, but I mean, Dragon Con seriously takes up 5 hotels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
that's all the rooms, all the ballrooms, nothing else goes on there.
Yeah.
And there are so many security concerns because of the costumers carry weapons.
Right.
There are very, very strict rules about the weapons, but anybody can get in. And especially with, the world the way it is and the news and stuff like that, and the safety of the con goers, your badge is checked multiple times. Mm-hmm. You can't get into a hotel without your badge being checked. You can't enter into any other interior rooms without your badge being checked. Everywhere you go, your badge is checked multiple times.
That's interesting. Yeah, there are plenty of people who are checking, to get to the closed off areas, but there were, I'm right with that, right? Isabella, you saw the same thing where you could access like huge sections of the convention.
No, yeah. I think I was only asked to show because I had it tied on my bag because it was getting in the way of my costume and everything. I had it down by my side, and I think I was only like explicitly asked to show it like one time. Other times I pretty much just walked in there. I don't know if they really saw it.
Yeah.
But I think I could have probably just gotten right in there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I mean, like I said, I think if you did want to just go and see people in costume, I don't think you'd need to even buy a pass to go to Rose City in order to do that. You'd be able to see.
And especially the cosplay areas where all the cosplayers hang out.
They were all out in the public area.
In the hallways.
Wow.
You could just go in there.
Yeah.
But I was so surprised when we walked in the entrance and like nobody.
There's nobody. Like, I've never
nobody
gone
there.
Door. You get up to the top of the escalators at the Washington Convention Center, and you have to show your badge to go any further. So I was surprised that there was so much area of it that was, not checked.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. And yeah. I felt like that the checks at the con this year were more thorough. It just seemed like there were more people checking than usual. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's just we won't be going back. I think everybody was pretty disillusioned this time. They moved where the gaming was at. We almost always at night end up in the gaming area. And the con has just gotten so huge that they moved that to one of the America Marts building. Well, the America Marts building is a complete maze. It is almost impossible to find anything there. And it also is a bottleneck. There's like one entrance to get in, and it takes forever to get inside and find out where the gaming's at. And it's so displaced from the majority of the hotels that it's like we don't feel like walking all the way over there to game and then walk all the way back to our hotel. That's the reason why we liked it the way it was, is because the gaming was in the hotel next to us. So the Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott are right next to each other. And the Sheraton is just 2 blocks down, but the America Mart is way much farther down, and that's where they moved the gaming.
Oh, that's weird. Like, because that's like the community, at least as far as I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think
I mean, there are people that
community.
show up and they've got an entire section set off for just Magic. They've got an entire section set off for just tabletop. They've got competition. There's a whole kids gaming section that they have set aside. And they actually had, like you said, they had a bunch of arcade machines this time. And then there's just this whole section of tabletop gaming, which they raised the price for doing that. It almost tripled.
You had to pay for that? Like, pay to play the games?
Well, if you check games out.
Oh.
They have a gaming library they've been maintaining for years, and all you have to do is buy a gaming pass, and then you can check the games out, which is super nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But what used to happen is you only had to have one person with a membership. So one person would pay for the membership, but that person had to be there to check the game in and out.
Right.
Well, this year it didn't matter who played; everybody had to buy a membership.
Oh, interesting. Well, we have
so it's like.
Both
$10 and it went to $40.
Yeah, that's a lot in addition to your passes. And both Emerald City and Rose City had gaming libraries, and all you had to do was drop off your ID. You didn't have to pay anything to play. So
yeah,
that's a lot of extra income for them.
Oh, you better believe it. We didn't buy any.
Right.
We bought them every year. We didn't buy any.
Yeah. That's sad.
But we couldn't all get over there either. I mean, we're spread all out across, I don't know, 10 city blocks. And to try to get 4 people to meet up, it took us forever to figure out where it was at and that it even moved. Yeah. And this is something I don't understand. It's like there are several groups that do charity fundraising while they're there, which is great. I think that's great. But I do not understand having a blood drive for a bunch of people who are dehydrated and eating poorly.
And in costume or running around or drinking or whatever other
overheated
they might be doing.
Asking them to give blood.
I wonder if anyone fainted.
Yeah,
that's a horrible environment to just be like.
Oh, we were watching. They got what they call Dragon Con TV. We were watching it late one night when they're doing one of their big cosplay competitions, and this girl finally got up on stage in this elaborate costume, and as she turned around to leave, flat on her face on the stage. It took forever for them to get her off. And it's like it's too late. She's probably dehydrated and she's been in that thing sweating like crazy. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, go to the blood drive.
Right, yeah, by the way.
So yeah, and I think it was John or somebody else while they were there, they were in a panel or something. There was a girl there who was getting sick. She's like, I thought I was okay after giving blood, but I guess I wasn't. I just think it's idiotic.
You just gave away a portion of your body's fluid. Your life force.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we came up with any profound solutions, but
limit ticket sales, maybe.
Yeah.
At least from your experience.
Yeah. We're not. It's definitely not going to be going there anymore. It's
That's
just
sad because I know you've always looked forward to and always enjoyed it. So it's sad to hear that summation of it, but I can understand. There's part of me that feels like PAX is a little too big for me now. And I also felt like I went to PAX several years in a row, like 3 or 4 years in a row. And things don't move fast enough in the gaming industry to go that many times because I saw the same games every year, to the point where I was like, oh yeah, I saw that last year. I don't want to, I want to go play that because I saw that last year. Oh, I saw that. Oh, I saw that. So you just kind of didn't want to go every year. But I would love to go again. But but I do feel like it's really big and it gets a little out of hand. And it's the same way you're talking about Dragon Con, where it's multiple hotels and different locations, and that makes it more challenging.
Yeah.
So,
but given that, we will be going to Geek Girl Con in October, so you guys can see us there. And we will be going to Emerald City Comic Con
next spring.
I probably will be going to NC Comic Con in Raleigh. And that's the only other one this year, but it's local.
Right.
Because I don't know. I can't own enough comic books, apparently.
Isabella can't own enough prints. And just to warn you, Rhonda, if you do go with me and you tell me to tell you not to buy something, I'm really bad at like helping you not buy
No,
things.
she's the worst.
In fact, I might
the little
encourage
devil
you
on
to
your
continue
shoulder.
to buy things that you said you weren't going to do.
Yes.
I have 2 prints right here that I have to take to my
I've
office
been
at work.
admiring them.
She said, "No more prints. I don't need any prints."
And then I bought 2.
And then she bought 2. And I'm the reason why she bought the second one. I actually told the guy at the booth, I'm like, I really should
Discourage this.
I think I kind of need a kickback here.
When I went to the Heroes Con this year, I was going specifically to see one artist, and I thrilled that I got one of his prints. And I put it back here in the background, but you can't see it. But I'm so happy to have it.
Yeah. I bought the first book of The Devil's Panties.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Comic. Yeah, because she loved my Holtzman costume, so that helped.
Yeah. Well, and they are always at Dragon Con, and they are the ones that started the kilt blowing.
Isabella was telling me about that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
funny.
I've never been.
Kilt blown?
I've never seen it or
Oh,
participated or try to blow a kilt.
Well, if you were going again, I would tell you you'd have to see if John would wear one for you just so you can participate.
Oh, yeah, that's never happening. That's never, and it doesn't happen until 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, for God's sake, I mean, there's something going on around the clock.
Yeah, that is not, I don't have any con experience that's like that. I mean, PAX will go, PAX Gaming, I've gone, gamed, and we closed down, Isabella and I closed down the gaming in Emerald City last year. We played until midnight. But that was the latest I think I've seen any con activities go.
Oh, all night.
But I don't know.
We were going to do a flash challenge right before we close out. But before we do that, we were going to do a real quick show and tell too.
Oh yeah, let's do show and tell. Yeah, we haven't done a show and tell in a while, so I'll do mine first. Let's say right here. Okay, so there's a great story associated with this. On Sunday morning of the con, I got a text message from one of my best friends with a picture of some stickers. And she said, someone I know picked these up at Rose City Comic Con. Can you go find them and get a set of them for me and for my brother? And I was like, sure. I said, but you need to tell me where they are. Like, I can't just go look for stickers at the con. So she finally figured out where they were. She asked the person and then got them back. So here are the stickers. This is Stitch from Lilo and Stitch on a TARDIS and on the Millennium Falcon and the Enterprise and
So cute.
Firefly. And so my friend's in Maryland, so I went up and told the artist, here's her card, Hella Bella. And I went and told her the story of how we found them and how, I had sought them out just to make sure we could get these for friends of mine. And then she told the story about how these were actually the decorations for her daughter's first birthday. So she made them as decorations for her first birthday. And that was her first birthday party decorations. And her nursery, I guess, ended up being Space Stitch. Kind of a hodgepodge of things she threw together to make the nursery. And
so who was the artist again?
Her name is Hella Bella.
How do you spell that?
Hella, HELABELLA.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to link to her when I put the post up tomorrow.
Okay, I've got Della. Is it Bella, B-E?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Bella. Oh, sweet. What about you, Isabella?
When I'm besides the prints that I got and the Devil's Panties mug that I got.
Oh, mug. Awesome.
Yeah.
It says, I think it says, real princesses wear combat boots. Of course.
I love that.
Okay, but let's see. Well, do you like the makeup trick?
Yeah.
They're little wood laser cut earrings with the Hyrulean crest from Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
I think they're adorable.
I loved her booth. I think I
They're
have
really
her
cute.
card here too. Where is it?
Oh, good, because mine somewhere.
There she is. Joelle. I don't know how to say her name. I'm sorry, I'm going to botch it.
I can't say her name.
Savelle. That's her card.
If you go to her Instagram,
Oh wait, here it
I
is.
made a post of all the con swag that I got and linked to all the people.
Here is. This is the one I fell in love with of hers. See this fat little bee?
Aw.
I just thought this was the cutest little thing. This is my badge from. Look at how giant our badges were, Rhonda.
Yeah. That's Dragon Con too.
It was just the press
Ridiculous.
badges. The other badges
Oh,
were
wow.
not as big, but the press badges were supersized for whatever reason.
So, how do you spell Joella's last name?
Savelieve.
It's Joella.
Yeah. Joelle.
LLE. Oh well, that's close.
Yeah, I'll link. And they are on the Instagram. So if you go to the Geek Embassy, at the Geek Embassy Instagram, they're all linked there too.
Okay. Well, this is what I got. I got really hung up on T-shirts just recently, and actually, someone recommended a online T-shirt design place called Design by Humans. Have you guys ever gotten T-shirts there?
Actually, no. I'm surprised. I've bought a lot of T-shirts online.
One of the Holtzmans recommended it because I was searching just feverishly trying to find one of the T-shirts that Holtzman wore in the movie, could not find it.
Is it like bright colored one?
Yes.
Underneath the robe? Yeah.
Yes.
I found a link for it.
I looked forever, but one of the Holtzmans at DragonCon told me where to get it. And so I ordered from there, and I love the T-shirt fabric. It's really, really nice. But that's not the T-shirt I'm going to show you. This I bought at the convention center, and I don't know whether you can see it or not because I'm looking at the wrong video screen. How's it look?
It looks good. Forbidden Planet.
Yep. I got that. I love the retro image, and I'd never seen the movie.
Oh.
So when I got back from the con, I wore it to work, and there was a guy at work just going flipped out. He was like, "Oh, I love that movie. It's so fantastic. It's great." And he started quoting lines. I was like, "Oh, crap." I was so embarrassed. So I went home and watched the movie, and it is awesome. What an amazing movie.
It is. It really is. Like, well, it's one of the foundational like sci-fi movies. So.
Yes, it's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm even happier now that I have the T-shirt because it's a super cool movie. So I don't know how much time we've got left.
Isabella, did you show and tell? Did I miss it?
Yeah, I showed my earrings.
Oh, that's right. Duh. I don't know. There. Sorry. Cold. Oh,
and that T-shirt is called Lift Off.
Yes, I saw. I found a blog where somebody was doing that very outfit because that was the one I kind of tried to do.
I can't. It must have come up late because I was pretty good about searching that stuff, and I never could find it. And I looked tirelessly, but I have it now, and I love it. Oh my god, I love it.
It is really cool. Once I saw the full design of it, it is really cool.
I'm getting texts from my mother. Let's see what she's up to.
Is she watching?
No, Mom couldn't work that out.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh, she's at Apple Harvest Festival. All apples.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. What is she going to do with all those apples? My God. Apple jam, apple jelly, apple butter, and there's like 3 crates of apples and 2 apple pies. What is she going to do with this? I have no idea. I can't even see that on there. Can you see on phone stuff? Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm glad she had a good time. I'm excited for her because my mother turned 75 this year.
Oh, happy birthday, Mom.
So quick flash before we close it out. Are there any returning shows that you're excited to start watching again?
I have 2 that I'm looking forward to. Jane the Virgin.
Oh, yeah.
And Crazy Ex-Girlfriend are the 2 I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. They did a great job with the first seasons of those.
Yeah, they did. And I rewatched actually the first and second season of Jane the Virgin over the summer. Although I haven't watched the finale of the second season yet because
you better get on that.
Well, I've seen it already, so I saw it when it aired. But this is my rewatching. I haven't rewatched it yet because it's pretty emotional, and I haven't had the space for it. So
yeah.
What
about you, Isabella?
I'm excited for Brooklyn Nine-Nine to get back and Scream Queens.
Really?
I really liked it.
Okay, tell me what the appeal of Scream Queens is, because I watched 1 or 2 episodes and I was like, I can't believe this made it on the air. This is so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like a weird parody of high school life almost, except college. Yeah.
So maybe it's that contextual thing again.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. I can live with that. Okay,
it did
so
get better. I'll say that.
So
I'm already.
Just really quick, I just wanted to put that Amy is looking forward to Bones coming back on. And she's
I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Well, I texted that Bones is still on. Like I
for sure ended.
Back for a fall season. So she said, and they did a really interesting twist at the end of last season, as in maybe want to rewatch the show from the beginning. Good.
Oh, now that is good.
That is good. That's some pretty high praise, Amy. I don't know. Because I stopped watching. I haven't watched, I think, the last 2 seasons, at least the last season, when I realized I was only watching for like the last 4 minutes of every episode, where it was the actual character development of the characters. That's all I was watching for anymore. And so I stopped watching it. But interesting. Maybe you want to rewatch the show from the beginning. Kind of good twist. That's a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode of South Park has already come out, and I had no idea how much I was going to enjoy that. I'm looking forward for the second season of Ash vs. Evil. I think those were the 2 new ones last year that I'm glad got renewed.
Cool. I've heard lots of good things about Ash vs. Evil. I haven't watched it, but
very gory.
Yeah. It's just
I kind of just want to watch it because Lucy Lawless is on it.
Yeah. She's worth it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's what we had for this hangout. I think that was some good discussion. Yeah. And I want to remind you all, if you are going to Geek Girl Con, we will be going, it's the 9th and 10th, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the 9th and 10th in Seattle. Our presentation is called Capes and Baskets. It's about how fairy tales can teach us about superhero stories. So it's going to be a really fun panel. Rhonda's moderating it for us. So if you're going to be at Geek Girl Con, come see us. It's Sunday at 4 p.m.?
Yep.
Okay, Sunday at 4 p.m.
Oh, it's actually 8th and 9th, actually.
It's the 8th and 9th. Yeah, I thought I might be wrong. I think it was the 9th and 10th was Rose City, and I'm all up in my head. So come see us for that Sunday, 4 p.m. Again, another quick plug for my book. I have 11 days left and I need 34 books. So if you have not ordered Mothering the Game, please go to Inkshares, search for Mothering the Game, and order my book today. Yeah, and I think that's it. Our next Hangout is going to be the weekend after Geek Girl Con. So the Sunday after that, we'll be live here on YouTube Live. And I have to say, for our new interface, I'm glad they kept our part, like the behind the scenes part that you guys don't see, stayed the same. But the new part is this chat on the side of the screen, which somebody who listens to the show told me he really thought we should be on Twitch doing this, because Twitch has this kind of interface where you can have the live chat running on the side of the video. Yeah. And I said that would be great, except that Twitch only does one camera. Like, you have to be in the same room with each other, and we're across the country. So that doesn't really work. So YouTube Live allows us to be remote and still have now commentary that we can actually follow during the show, now that I know where to look for it.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to get used to it, because the video is behind what we're talking about, and it's sort of like having a delayed echo in your ear.
You can mute it. You can mute it on the video.
It's not muted. Well, it is muted. It's the video I'm watching. Here I go again.
Nice boob shot. Thanks.
I forget. I wiggle a lot, and I forget. Rhonda, you're on video. So I get restless and have to move, and then you get, everywhere I go. So, but yeah, I see the video. See, now I'm just now seeing my boob shot.
Yes. Yeah. I have the same thing. But I've always been doing that. The whole time we've been doing the Hangouts, always had it running, because I thought the comments showed up as comments on the video. So I used to leave it running so I could see if people, but that didn't work that way. So this actually, I'm really glad that we have this.
Yeah.
Commentary running here. We can actually see it. It makes sense where it's located, even if we do have to look at ourselves in two screens. Because right now I have myself on the screen where I'm talking to you guys, and I can watch the video on the screen.
Super cool.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, for checking in, for hanging out with us. Yeah. And go check out the geekembassy.com. We have some coverage coming out from Rose City Comic Con we're going to be sharing this week, including this as a podcast episode tomorrow. And until next time, get your geek on.
Bye.
Bye.